Meet the author. Naomi Nye likes to call herself a wandering poet. When she was young, she wrote poems about everyday things like cats, squirrels, and plants. Eventually, however, she became interested in writing poetry about people's daily lives in other cultures. Naomi still likes to travel and write about diverse people and cultures. Although she mostly writes poetry, she has also written some stories. She has won many awards for her writing. My Father and the Figtree, from 19 Varieties of Gazelle.
For other fruits, my father was indifferent. He'd point at the cherry trees and say, "See those? I wish they were figs." In the evenings, he sat by our beds weaving folk tales like vivid little scarves. They always involved a fig tree. Even when it didn't fit, he'd stick it in. Once Joha was walking down the road and he saw a fig tree. Or he tied his camel to a fig tree and went to sleep. Or later, when they caught and arrested him, his pockets were full of figs. At age 6, I ate a dried fig and shrugged. "That's not what I'm talking about," he said. "I'm talking about a fig straight from the earth, gift of Allah, on a branch so heavy it touches the ground. I'm talking about picking the largest, fattest, sweetest fig in the world and putting it in my mouth." Here he'd stop and close his eyes. Years passed. We lived in many houses. None had fig trees. We had lima beans, zucchini, parsley, beets. "Plant one," my mother said, but my father never did. He tended garden half-heartedly, forgot to water, let the okra get too big. What a dreamer he is! Look how many things he starts and doesn't finish. The last time he moved, I had a phone call. My father, in Arabic, chanting a song I'd never heard. "What's that?" He took me out to the new yard. There, in the middle of Dallas, Texas, a tree with the largest, fattest, sweetest figs in the world. "It's a fig tree song," he said, plucking his fruits like ripe tokens, emblems, assurance of a world that was always his own.
What Kind of Fool Am I? From 19 Varieties of Gazelle, by Naomi Nye.
He sang with abandon, combing his black hair. Each morning in the shower, first in Arabic, rivery ripples of song carrying him back to his first beloved land. Then in English, where his repertoire was short. "No kind at all," we'd shout, throwing ourselves into the brisk arc of his cologne for a morning kiss. But he gave us freedom to be fools if we needed to, which we certainly would later, which we all do now and then. Perhaps a father's greatest gift, that blessing.
Going to the Spring, from 19 Varieties of Gazelle, by Naomi Nye.
In the evenings, the women walk to the spring. My cousins balance huge buckets on their heads. They know all the stories of water that comes through pipes. Their brothers are digging trenches, laying down tile. On the roof, a silver tank will cook the water in the sun. They know there are countries where men and women kiss in the streets, where a man's hand on a woman's knee does not mean an earthquake. Still, they take the buckets, the fat fold of cloth that rests on the head, and go to the spring. Trains of women in twos and threes, greeting each other with murmur and hum, a nod so slight the bucket barely tips.
Discuss. 1. How are the events in the 4 stanzas of My Father and the Figtree organized? 2. What is a possible theme of What Kind of Fool Am I? What does the father do that shows that theme?